which episode is this? Which number is it?
This is number 3. Number
Where's
2
the
is yet to be edited.
This is, and what you call it again?
Twilightweights.
Twilightweight. Lightweight, Twilightweight.
And my name's Twi.
Twyman. Do you want me to introduce her? Is she going to speak?
That is the whole idea.
Is it really? Oh, I'm sharing the
I
limelight.
know, it's hard, isn't it? It's painful.
Is it on now?
It's on now.
All right.
Yes.
Well, can I introduce you to the 3rd edition
Yeah.
of Twilightweights, which you might think it's a Welsh language radio station, but in fact it is Martin Nichols' brainchild.
Yes.
This idea of having conversation. Martin Nichols is the idiot that looks like Noddy on the left. That'll be your right. And we talk about anything and nothing, really.
Yeah.
Last time we were filming here, we were in Queen's Park. Oh, sorry, this is Twyman. Susan Twyman.
This is Twyman.
Twyman from Twilight.
Would you like to introduce
I'd
our
stand
guest
up
a
for
little
my
bit
right-
more?
I have, Susan
All
Twyman.
you've done is mention her name.
All right.
It might be worth saying a few more things.
This,
Well, that would be distracting from the main star of the
yeah.
show.
This
From
is
our massive,
Susan
you know,
Twyman, who
audience.
is an old, good, not so old, good friend of mine,
Yeah.
who has been invaluable in my theatrical career,
And
helping me
elsewhere.
among other things.
And in other departments.
Another department.
Which we won't go into.
I want to
mean,
go into
at
the other
one point-
department.
No, this is
At one point, on the
children
in the
can't see this,
filming,
can they?
in the wonderful production of Jonathan Brown's The Well, she actually had the task of holding this little sticker over the emergency exit light during the entire performance.
Really?
Especially if a bomb was going to go off.
Especially for Bob.
Yeah, because the last thing you want is an exit sign.
You don't
if
want to
there's a bomb.
stampede, it's much better. They stand still.
If you've got to go, you've got to go, is my attitude.
Yeah, I agree.
What brings you here, Susan Twyman?
Yeah.
What brings me here? Well, an invitation from yourself, my dear.
Ah, there it is.
Yes, but I did kind of make myself feel attractive. Hope you noticed I put
Yeah.
some attention into my physical.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here
well,
it's-
of course.
I just
Yes.
realised
I knew I had a rival.
we've introduced the cast, but we haven't introduced the crew. Martin, would you like to say something about yourself?
I would, and I will for the next hour. Be in no doubt about that. So anyway, so
Very
the,
sweet of you.
yeah, no, please. Oh, actually, you better not, because I might be carrying some.
Yes, but I'm very.
She's
I'm
double
immune.
inoculated now.
I'm double inoculated.
Are you doubling up?
I used to, and I will
She's had both of them done.
This is unbroadcastable, isn't it?
There was a young woman
hilarious.
from Devizes who had breasts of different sizes. One was small, almost nothing at all. The other was large, and won prizes. I think it's very English.
It is.
It's kind of understated.
Well, this is very English. So, we're in a park,
We are.
Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon in the park with Paddy, and
Who isn't English?
And Susan.
yeah.
Oh God,
yeah,
here we go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our blind spot with regard to women, shall we? You and me.
Yeah.
Ignoring Susan.
I am listening. I'm just going to move the microphone.
Yeah.
Close.
This week was about work and about how the pandemic has made us reevaluate how we spend our time. Are we doing what we want to do? Are we giving enough time that we need to?
Yeah.
Of the value of work. I mean, that mostly we spend our time in the transaction of money for our time. But do we really want to do that? Do we want our time to be used for something that's more satisfying and affirming?
Yeah.
So all these things sort of up in the air, really.
Well, one of the reasons that I left work was that over the period of teaching, it transformed from a job that was kind of vaguely vocational to something which was more and more and more about money, i.e. about getting the maximum output from these units of consumption, the kids, right?
It used to be children.
Maximising. No, it's true. And the world is being converted, right, into the cult of neoliberalism, where everything is valued only according to its financial worth, right?
Yeah.
Which is what
Yeah.
Grayson Perry's talking about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Obviously, it started with Thatcher, but now it's increasingly kind of like the only game in town.
Yeah.
Well, it's just basic capitalism.
Well, it's capitalism on steroids.
Well, it's being applied all the way up the educational ladder as well. Because there was a report
Yeah, yeah.
recently where talked about where universities have actually changed the curriculum
Yeah.
because some students have objected and they felt uncomfortable with some of the content.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what's the point of going to university? You're not prepared to feel uncomfortable. But of course, the point of that was not to do with the rightness or wrongness of what was in the curriculum, but the effect that it might have on the reputation of the course among students generally. And they thought, oh, if it's a bit dodgy or a bit challenging, we won't sign up for that.
The best thing I ever read about the purpose of teaching literature and of literature itself is that it disturbs the comfortable and comforts the disturbed.
Yes.
And I think
that's a show quote that you're.
I think Shaw had nothing to do with that quote. It's beyond him. I can't for the moment remember who said it, but it definitely
It
wasn't
didn't
Shaw.
begin with an S, did it?
No,
And,
to comfort the comfortable, to discomfort the comfortable, and to comfort the discomfortable.
But it's something I could never figure out.
What shall I explain it to you then?
Shush!
Perhaps I could make my point and then
Yes,
you could explain it.
exactly.
I mean, in an uncontroversial
Thank
departure.
goodness
I
I'm
thought
here.
this
Thank
was
goodness
intended
Thank
to
goodness
be
you're here. I'm
Thank goodness I'm
entertaining.
here.
Is this supposed to be entertaining? Or?
For a wide group of people, as
Yeah.
opposed just to...
Yeah. That, I mean, I quite enjoyed disturbing kids, especially the most complacent ones. I mean, I know that all old men say this, but I do think we've really lost our bearings. So that these are really important questions, but we don't talk about them.
Yeah.
We talk about, gross domestic product and things like that instead, and we elect people. I mean, look at the people who are leading us.
Yeah.
I mean, they're moral vacuums, aren't they? I mean, they are utterly system people of a particularly nasty stripe.
The other thing about protests is it galvanises the opposition. It allows people to have agency about their voice and to
Protesting.
Yes, and identify with protest. And people become, in their youth, activated and engaged with issues that they feel passionately about. I remember when I was in Sussex, there was a time when there were lots of student occupations, and we were sitting in corridors in the administration block and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it was in sit-ins. It was an interesting experience to have what a sit-in was, and the students organising themselves and stuff. And all of this is to do with the activation of youth protest.
But fundamentally, what we're saying is there's something wrong here that needs to change. And the only way of changing it is to persuade people that there's a wrong.
Women didn't get the vote in this or any other country without protesting. In fact, without doing a damn sight more, without blowing up some buildings and letterboxes and pillar boxes and things. So they did a good deal more than just protest. And no human right has ever been granted. They have all been won, and they've been won through struggle. And part of the way of struggling is to express it, and also often as a last resort.
The society's become increasingly polarised,
Yeah.
and that the motive energy in our society is on the right. I mean, they're rising and they're becoming more confident.
Yep.
In the end, some thought has got to go into, well, what's the outcome of this going to be? Is this going to move things forward, or is it actually going to give ammunition to the enemy?
You nearly always are going to get into that double mind of giving ammunition to the enemy, because anything that disrupts the status quo will be thought of as being subversive or unacceptable to the status quo. So it's hard to have a protest and still nod your head to
I know,
authority. But on the other hand, what you do have is hopefully a group of people that are now becoming more politically engaged, and that is spreading, and people are thinking of themselves that they can identify with others.
Okay, here we go. A little quiz for you as well, listeners. Who is the one person in the world that the left should feel most grateful to at the moment and take most hope from, in terms of the clear and obvious effect they've had for the good?
Well, I think Jeremy Corbyn would be up there.
I think Jeremy Corbyn's gift to the nation ultimately is an 80-seat Tory majority.
No.
But okay, well that's your vote, Jeremy Corbyn. I
said he'd be up there.
Oh, okay, all right.
George Monbiot would be really significant.
Well, you see,
has a voice.
Thanks. I think the answer is Stacey Abrams.
Oh, well done.
She's good. Yeah, she's
No. It's not just that she's good.
She is good.
It's that without her work,
yeah.
Georgia would not have gone Democrat.
That's true.
Right? And she worked for years to get the vote out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I can't remember the exact figures, but she's one of the most important figures behind Biden being president and pushing forward a surprisingly kind of progressive program.
Yeah.
It's the spirit of Stacey Abrams that we need. We need people to say, okay, what is the actual practical problem, and how can we actually practically sort it?
You know, there was a case not that long ago. I saw a video, and it's probably still on the statute book, that police in Florida, somewhere in Florida, in one of the urban districts of Florida, not only arrested people for distributing food to poor people, they actually confiscated the food and put it in dumps in front of the people who were queuing up to get the food.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah. Because the film starts in which Paddy plays God.
Oh, okay. That's utterly plausible.
That's a good start.
Everyone's going to buy that.
Yeah.
Looks a bit like God in a Steve Bell cartoon, doesn't he? I think you'll find that's Father Christmas, but that'd do. The mystery of why people can be such bastards, right?
Yeah.
How can they? So our film confronts this head on. I'm looking forward to dressing you as God. It'd be great, isn't it? Big flowing robes. Is it as simple as that these people are cunts? Right? Is it?
Would you use the word pricks?
No, I'm going to use the word cunt.
Well, it's generic. It's genetic.
I'm sorry, I don't think.
No, it's genetic. No, I'm not defending it. I'm attacking it. It's genetic and it's generic. It's genital. That's the word I was looking for.
No, because it has to be the word
gendered and genital.
Apropos of that word, I did try my hardest, and Paddy will back me up here, to try and get the word replaced by gove, so that the worst word in the language would be a gove.
Yes.
That is you are a fucking gove, you could say. And
that's great.
I thought it was great, and I tried really hard.
You did.
Go for that.
I've told loads of people, George Monbiot, I said, come on, get this going. But it hasn't quite moved beyond 3 people.
No.
How are people being like this? How are people being so absolutely monstrous in ways that, in my experience, they've never been? Maybe they're a bit racist and a bit nasty, but there's never been such, like, down to the core hatred and nastiness and cruelty, and, which has become part of government policy.
Yeah.
Where does this shit come from?
I don't know.
I think it's just as a general regression into the id, I want, therefore I will have. And if you don't have it, then you can have a temper tantrum, throw out your toys, and start behaving in an obnoxious fashion.
That's right.
And there doesn't have to be any kind of filter of, in a little word, a little R for religion or humanity or conscience or reckoning. Insight, any of those things are by the by. It's just sort of a regression to our worst common denominator, which is greed and hatred and jealousy and
I don't see that he's got anything other than an insoluble problem, which is the only way to win back power is to get people who voted Tory to vote Labour, but if you appeal to that bloc, you're going to alienate the people who voted for Corbyn.
The Starmer's function, of course, on paper is to make Labour electable, but in other words, to make Labour no longer a threat to the establishment, to make Labour no longer a vehicle by which change can be brought about.
But we're not going to have any revolutions, Paddy.
I'm afraid you are. I think you are. We are going to have a revolution, and we're going to have a revolution within the next decade in this country, without question. I think we are. If things don't change dramatically, they're going in all the way directions towards it.
But the problem with having a revolution is that the army is on the other side, and the police are on the other side, and all the force is on the other side. So if there is a revolution, but on the left, it will be crushed by the right, and it will justify the right becoming even more fascistic. So I don't think revolution is the answer.
No, it's not the answer.
Well,
I'm saying it's the inevitable effect of what's happening, unless I don't think, I honestly no longer believe that there is a parliamentary route to reform in this country, because what Starmer did was a coup. He took over the party. He was there to make them safe. And he doesn't care how many Corbynites he expels. He doesn't care who he smears with anti-Semitism. He doesn't mind that at all.
The only way... No, seriously. The only way... Sorry, but it seems as clear as day to me that the only way that we're going to get rid of the Tories is if all the non-Tory parties agree at the next election that that's the agenda. Because Labour's not going to win. We all know Labour's not going to win. And...
change only happens when people are hurt.
Yeah, that's right.
And so what's going to hurt the people that currently are sitting smug, thinking it's all going very well, thank you very much?
Well, how do you change, and what does that mean to change people?
Well, what has changed, has COVID is going to lead to enormous unemployment. And we're not going to have the money to put into infrastructure, benefits, or housing, education. We're going to be very poor for the foreseeable future.
My understanding is that virtually all the academic economists say that when interest rates are virtually zero and we're printing our own money, this is absolutely the time to massively invest in the economy.
Why don't you give the poor the money? He said the rich are going to get it anyway. In the end, they're going to get it. But actually, it's good for the economy because the rich don't need to spend their money.
Anyway.
And then the other thing, we have climate change.
Yeah.
And we have immigration. And what else do we have? What other calamity is before us?
Yeah, that'll do. I mean, that's okay.
Nuclear weapons.
Oh yes, of course, the old nuclear weapons.
Is it just me, or literally ever since Brexit, really, we've started to think in kind of global end of the world terms?
Well, you see, as a 13-year-old, I believed that 1956 was going to be the end of the world.
Why?
Because it was common knowledge at the time. Common knowledge among a certain level.
Yeah, but why? Why 1950?
It was the Marian year.
Born.
Some good
And the
things
world
happened
was
then.
saved.
The world was saved.
My dear, it was
By the
saved.
rocking of a cradle as you came slouching towards Brighton.
Yeah. What rough beast.
It's all come round at last. Slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. It was to do with Copernicus, not Copernicus.
Copernicus.
The other one, Nostradamus. The other Italian.
Yeah,
there only being two.
I do remember leaving school at one time. We were all on our bikes just at the gate of the school, having cycled down the thing, and the guy said, "See you Monday," and I thought, God, what assumptions you're making about how you see you Monday. God.
It's not the end of the world, it's not the end of the planet, it's the end of civilization. The planet will continue.
But
Well, that's true.
Well, that's quite a comforting thought, really, in some ways.
I know. I remember being on a plane once, coming back from somewhere, and we went through it. Have you ever been on a plane during a lightning storm? It's not funny. It's
well, as
really,
God's quite used to it, I thought.
And I said, look, even if we're struck by lightning, it won't be the end of the world. And she was quite relieved. I said, it'll obviously be the end of us, but it won't be the end of the world.
I don't know. I mean, over the past year, Susan, did you find this? I mean, I found myself being driven mad by what was going on in the news, to the point that I was so angry that I thought this is actually not doing me any good at all.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we've become addicted. I have become addicted to looking at news flashes. You know, I'm a news junkie, and it's a form of distraction that does nothing to affirm my soul or to make me happy. It's just like another thing to process, another thing to think about.
Apparently, it's called doom scrolling.
Oh,
Come across that?
Yeah,
Doom scrolling.
But you had to go at me the other day saying that if I carried on like that, I would do my, when I was angry about something, about politics. And they will do the same with anyone else who pops their head above the parapet.
I don't think that's true.
They won't do it with Starmer. He is a knight of the realm. He is a knight of the realm. He has been honoured for his services to the crown.
So's David Attenborough.
God's sake. Yeah. But he's done something.
Yes, he's done something. I put him on my list under George Monbiot.
I don't think being a sir is necessarily a bad thing. Ian McKellen,
Yes, it is.
is a sir, dreadful actor.
You wouldn't accept a knighthood, would you, darling?
No, I wouldn't.
I know they've
accept a
tried
knight.
giving you one.
No, of course I wouldn't.
I would. Jeez.
Shaw didn't, and he refused peerage. He even refused the Order of Merit, which is in the personal gift of the monarch, and he refused.
As
and
if
he
the
was quite
monarch
right to
knows
refuse.
anything about literature. I mean, as if she's ever read a book in her life.
Do you know what? Maybe he'll get thrown underneath a double-decker bus.
Maybe he will.
You know, I've got this.
No, they used to say that.
That if I have a terminal illness, which I'm not wanting one, God, but if I did have one, I would have a list of people that I would attempt to kill before I die.
Funny you should say that.
That was what Shaw suggested to a man who said he wanted to commit suicide. He said,
Before
what
you
we
do
want
that,
to do is list 12 people.
Don't waste
who
your death. Yes.
Who would serve mankind by taking them out.
Take them out. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think
How weird.
maybe I should leaflet hospices. And say
Yeah.
that before you go,
Here's the thing you could do.
realise that you could contribute to such good.
Geriatric kamikazes.
About
with their drips and their Zimmer frames.
that's
Their
right.
AK-40. We talked to Fuzz, who's an anarchist from the... Well, he's been an anarchist for as long as I've known him, which is 20
Since
or
a
more
baby.
years. Yeah, but
Babies
and
are
he
anarchists.
said he was out canvassing for Corbyn. Who doesn't believe in the system at all. And so Corbyn did unite the country in a particular way, and he did have a lot of this emotional intelligence. He did have a lot of.
He
the
didn't
capacity.
unite the country, Paddy. Just because an anarchist in Brighton decided to work for the Labour Party doesn't mean that the whole nation of 70 million people. Because
He
clearly
made
they
the
didn't.
Labour Party
Labour.
the largest political party in Western Europe.
Yeah, and look at the good it did.
And
know.
he is now advising Starmer.
I know, and
So what do you think?
all three of the people that watch this video know that too.
Yeah, good.
So I think that's taken as a read that Peter Mandelson is no friend of social progression. However,
I'm getting cold now.
Yes, it is getting cold. I think we should.
you should
Are we going to wrap it up?
Yes.
Can we have something to wrap it up? Can we have a hopeful thought to wrap it up?
Yes.
Or a jingle.
Philip Pullman tweeted about a year ago that hope is a moral duty.
That's good.
For some reason, I keep thinking of the Beatles, and I keep thinking of the fact that the 60s was driven by all kinds of things, but hugely culturally it was driven by, all those teenagers suddenly going ape about the Beatles.
Well, didn't you get that from the grouping last night? I mean, the demo last night, when you considered the average age of the whole lot, including us three, was probably about 19.
I did. No,
Yeah.
I love the fact that young
and
people, but they're young, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
No, that's a great thing, but they've also got all the other things that go with being young.
Yeah, they're in debt.
Girlfriends, boyfriends,
Girlfriends and sex they have. And,
STDs.
yeah.
and babies.
And in debt.
And drugs.
In
Yeah.
debt, which we weren't at that age.
And they can drink without having heart attacks. I mean,
Yeah.
fuck them.
Fuck 'em.
Susan, you should have the last word while I go and switch it off.
Well, this has been a delightful activity on a Sunday afternoon, and I hope to be invited back.
It has been a pleasure, and we'll have to talk about that. We're having a committee meeting to decide how it went. It's been excellent having you. It's been lovely, lovely indeed.